Hello students. Today in your algebra class, we're going to be working on applying systems of equations. So at the end of this lesson, you should be able to write and solve systems of equations. Now, let's work on example 1. It says a farm has only chickens and pigs. When the manager of the farm counted the heads of the stock in the farm, the number totaled up to 200 heads. However, when the number of legs were counted, the number totaled 540. How many chickens were in the farm? So let's start by underlining the really important words that we see here. So, first thing that stands out in the first equation or first sentence is that we have chickens and we have pigs. When the manager of the farm counted the heads, now it says heads, totaled and 200. And it says number of legs, that totaled 540. Now it's really important to know what they're asking you for. It says how many chickens. So we need to find out the number of chickens. So if we look at what we have so far, it mentions chickens and pigs, okay? And pigs. It also mentions heads, and it also mentions legs. So, when we're talking about the heads, it mentions totaled and 200. So it gives us a number, and it says total. Totaled means we add a bunch of stuff up, or we work with an equation, and it's equal to 200. So what we're going to do is we're going to calculate the number of heads. So obviously, since there are only chickens and pigs, we're going to say C, the number of chickens, and P, the number of pigs, is equal to 200. Now what we're doing with the chickens and the pigs is we're adding up their number and saying that that's equal to 200. For the legs, we could start by saying it's the same thing, but we'll soon find out that, well, if C is equal to the number of chickens and P is equal to the number of pigs, so C is equal to the number of chickens and P is equal to the number of pigs, then that couldn't possibly be equal to 540 because we know that there are 200 chickens and pigs. So if we think about the number of legs on a chicken, well, there are 2. And on a pig, there are 4 legs. So we actually have to multiply the number of chickens by 2 to get the total number of legs, and the number of pigs by 4. So now what we have is a system of equations. We have this one right here, and we have this one right here. At this point you have an option. We could solve this using elimination or substitution. Now, based on what most of you have said, it seems like you like solving using elimination more. So that's what we're going to do. So notice how we want 2 criteria for elimination. 1, signs are opposite, and 2, numbers are the same. Okay, so at this point we need to determine, do we want to eliminate the x's, or the c's, or the p's? So to make that easier, we'll do the chickens. Now the chickens, don't have the same sign. So I'm going to multiply the top equation by 2. And you'll notice that when we multiply by 2, it'll give us the same number, but they're not the same sign. So to make the number, or make the signs opposite, I'm going to take that 2 and make it a negative 2. So when I distribute that negative 2 to everything, we will be left with negative 2c minus 2p equals negative 400. And because we didn't touch the second equation, we're just going to bring that over. Now you'll notice that the c's are the same number but different sign. So we're going to add vertically. So negative 2c plus c is 0. Negative 2p plus 4p is 2p. And negative 400 plus 540 is 140. We're going to divide by 2 to both sides. And we get p is equal to 70. So p is equal to 70. And some of you would think that we're done, but this would actually give you the wrong answer. P is equal to the number of pigs, and we have 70 pigs. They want the number of chickens. So what we're going to do is we're going to use our easiest equation, or c plus p equals 200. And we want to solve for chickens. We have 70 pigs. So we're going to simply subtract 70 from both sides and find that c is equal to 130. So to answer the question, we have 130 chickens. And now you're done. Let's try another example. It says several students decide to start a t-shirt company. After initial expenses of $280, they purchase each t-shirt for $3.99. They sell each t-shirt for $10.99. How many must they sell to break even? So again, let's start by breaking this down and underlining the important things. Now it says several students decide to start a t-shirt company, which is great. It says after initial expenses of $280, they purchase each shirt for $3.99. Then it says they sell each t-shirt for $10.99. How much must they sell to break even? So, break even. So basically when the two equations are the same. So they first mention buying, and then they mention selling. So it's really important to classify what your two equations will look like. So in terms of buying, they bought stuff. So their initial expenses, we're going to say y is equal to the amount spent, amount of money. We're going to say x is equal to the number of t-shirts. Now, it says the amount of money spent was $280, and that's a fixed cost because it's an initial expense, so there shouldn't be a variable next to it. Plus, it's going to be $3.99 per shirt. So per shirt, anytime you see the per, it's a rate and should have a variable next to it. So 280 plus 399x. That's going to tell us how much we spent. In terms of selling, we can use the same variables. I'm going to say y equals, it says they sell each t-shirt for $10.99. So $10.99x, because we don't know how many shirts we sold. And those would be our two equations. So, in this instance, doing elimination doesn't seem like the easiest way. But because we have y equals on both equations, we can set them equal to one another. So I'm going to rearrange this really quick so you can see that 280 plus 399x equals y, because that's what we have on this left side. But we also know that y is equal to 1099x. So because they're both equal to y, I can actually just set them equal to one another. So now we have 280 plus 399x equals 1099x. Now because I want to combine like terms, I'm going to subtract 399x to both sides. We're going to be left with 280 equals 7x. So to solve for x, we're going to divide by 7 to both sides, and we are going to find out that x is equal to 40. That means because x equals 40 for both equations, that means we have to sell 40 shirts to break even. So we must sell 40 shirts to break even. So now we've answered their question. Now it's your turn. I want you to look at the problem, and I want you to solve parts A, B, and C. So this should help you to do what we just did in the last two problems, but it breaks it down for you into steps. Step A, or problem 1, is to write an equation that relates to Terrell. B says write an equation that relates to Dahlia. And C says solve this system, just like we did on the last two problems. That's all for now. See you guys next time.